Hi, this is Mucker671 again, doing another video on the River Thames. This one's slightly different, but I had to show it just because it's such a good venue. The parking's quite expensive here. I don't normally do that type of thing. It's normally free parking or very cheap. And the access, I mean, it's great. You know, it's flat ground, nice cut grass, nice and level, but it is a little bit of a walk to the swims. This is the entrance to Hampton Court Railway Station. I'll be showing you Cigarette Island Park, which is just behind the car park here. The peak daily charge here is £7.50. I think that's for 24 hours. I'm not 100% sure, but we paid the £7.50 when I filmed here anyway, just to cover ourselves. But it's definitely worth checking just to make sure that is for 24 hours. If anybody knows any different, please message me, as I'd like to pin that to the top of the comments section for people to know as a correction. The main fishing is on the right hand bank, as you see where the people are walking. It goes down a fair way, but we'll start off at Hampton Court Bridge. The River Ember hides just behind this hedge line here. It intersects with the River Thames to the left of us. So this is Hampton Court Bridge, one of the closest spots from the car park. There's moorings in front of us. They're not always full. Sometimes you can get a spot there to fish. I like to roll lunch and meat because it's nice clear bottom here. But this is where a lot of the big perch are caught. There's a clear view of Hampton Court Palace directly in front of us there. This is just downstream from where we were stood just a moment ago. Like I said earlier, when the boats aren't there, they're fishable. This is the last of the moorings pretty much, so I'll take you on a journey now down to the point that meets the River Ember, the intersection. Like I said, a very productive spot, well worth waiting for. Absolutely beautiful. Not many swims available, but very, very, very productive as well on its day, and it has a couple of quirks about it as well. You'll notice that most of the swims that you see have a sort of a ridge that you can stand on at the bottom. Excuse me. Well, if you can imagine it in the winter, a lot sparser vegetation and high water. Well, sometimes the water comes a foot or so above the actual ridge here that I'm sort of showing you now. What you can do is, like you do at Aragon Avenue, like in my last video that I explained, you can just pop a bit of luncheon meat with a very light weight and drop it just in front, so just upstream of the trees, and slowly bounce it back under the trees. But just luncheon meat, no free offerings again, and you can winkle out some decent barbel and chub literally from under the trees that you would normally be sort of sheltering under, if you know what I mean. The method I like to use for fishing here is normally a large method feeder ball, you know, the spring type things. You'd make a sort of, the bigger the better really, ball of ground bait. I mix some very finely ground high oil trout pellets, just a little bit, to the mix of breadcrumb and particles. just to sort of hold it together a bit longer, so you don't have to keep casting, which seems to scare the fish, I feel anyway. Normal baits on the hook, really, your fishy boilies or your sweet boilies, even sweet corn if you like on the day. We're getting quite close to the point now at Cigarette Island, where the intersection is for the River Ember. Really interesting spot. Give it a second and we'll be there shortly. I'd like to do a quick shout out to Sky Survey UK's YouTube channel. If you're interested in aerial footage of the River Thames, he has some really high quality stuff. All the places that I've been covering lately, definitely worth checking out. And thank you very much for giving us permission to use your footage. So moving on to the point now where the River Ember meets the River Thames. The River Ember seems to be a lot muddier than the Thames most of the time, especially when there's a bit more water. You'll find that there's a massive crease, really well defined in front of you. You can fish sort of in the crease, I suppose. I've not really had much luck fishing directly in the crease, but slightly in the muddier water. This is obviously the River Thames, and the outflow to the River Ember is just to the right of me, which I'll show you in just a second. It looks peachy at the moment, but the water's very low and it can be quite deceiving sometimes and quite difficult when the water's so low. Directly in front of me now is the Aragon Avenue section. It's at the end of the fishable section. That was the last post I did. So if you care to take a look at that one, that's quite interesting. You fish the dirty water, you know, when it's running quite hard, the Thames. So it's quite a spot, really. Very, very productive again. This is the first accessible swim normally. There's a boat in there at the moment. I'm not sure how often the boat is there. I don't think it's too often, but it's a bit of a climb down. You've got to be a bit adventurous on this little tiny stretch. There's only about 2 or maybe 3 accessible swims if you're lucky on this bit that's actually tied in with what we call it. It's a cigarette island park. That's right, yeah. So don't expect too much. There's apparently very, very good carp fishing on the River Ember, so I don't know what comes out on this particular little beat here. I have been chatting to locals and seen some pictures of some lovely carp coming out of the River Ember, so maybe in the right conditions, you never know. So as per usual, I'll be leaving you with a little bit of music towards the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like button if you have, if you found it informative. Subscribe and hit the notifications if you want to see more. I've got plenty of videos in my free fishing playlist. River Thames, there's a bit on the River Wye as well, which isn't free, but obviously. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and catch you later. So I'm in the middle of editing my next video, which is Moseley, right by the rowing club there, by the weir and the lock. I'm not sure about the fishing, haven't been able to find out too much about it. So if anybody's got any information on that stretch, it looks quite well to do. So I'm not sure about the fishing, to be honest with you. But if anybody has any ideas on whether you're allowed to fish there or not, could you just leave it in the messages and I'll pin it to the top of the comments. Obviously, if you're not allowed to fish there, then I probably won't post the video unless you're interested, of course, in just seeing it. It's a gorgeous place.